Frog God, Frog God.
Hi, Frog God fans. Welcome. We have a interview tonight with Stephen Wells above me. Hi, Stephen.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
I'm one of your hosts, Alice Peng, aka Lala Twiddle, and below me is Brandon Powers. Hey, Brandon.
Howdy, howdy. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's awesome to get a chance to talk with you, Stephen. You, from what I understand, are the online platform specialist and the wizard behind the curtain.
Pretty much sums up my role. It's a little bit of everything.
Well, it sounds like a very interesting and fun role, and I understand tonight we're going to be talking about World Anvil. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
Awesome. So, what is World Anvil for people
So
who've never interacted?
World Anvil is a an online tool for most of us are gamers. So it's going to be, we use it as an online tool for going and managing our campaigns and our games. It's also an online tool for writers for going and managing their writing and character development. It's an amazing tool because it allows you to go and link between articles and characters, items, creatures, places, times, and make it so that you can jump between them very, very quickly. Um, it came about mainly because Frog God Games was looking for a way to go and organize and create a database that would capture all of the material that they've developed over the last 20 years. And you can do it in a database, but that's not very user friendly and it's not very approachable for most people. The beauty of World Anvil is that it's set up as a wiki, and it is completely configurable through CSS. So on the back end, I can do a lot of programming, and on the front end, it looks beautiful for all the users. Um,
Well, you've done an amazing job. It's beautiful. I understand that you've been working with a team, which we'll get to talk to over the next few weeks and learn more about. But you've done an amazing job on this. What can people expect to utilize this for if they're Frog God fans, though, specifically?
Well, you can use World Anvil for two things. One, for running your own campaigns, and I recommend that everybody grab yourself an account. They're free, and so it's easy to go and dive in and start going and building your own adventures, tracking your own campaigns. Um, and for Frog God specifically, it will have all of the Lost Lands available to you. It's a great tool for going and navigating through all of the areas, finding your way through, finding different things in the books, finding where things are linked, and what are the different. That's what I find it most fascinating for, because it's how do you can't necessarily see the linkages in the book. You know that it mentions something, but where does it go? How do you get there? And before you know it, I've gone down a rabbit hole, and I'm several links through, finding things that are really, really interesting.
Well,
So it's like the Wikipedia of the Lost Lands. That because I go to Wikipedia, I'm there for one thing. Generally, it starts game related, and then sooner or later, I've found my way to reading about the defecation of koala bears or something similar. And I don't know because it's an hour later, and I'm not certain how that happened, but I had a
Oh,
good
it's
time.
true.
And
yeah. Well, I swear, like World Anvil and Wikipedia, things like this, they have a spell cast on them. It's called time manipulation. Absolutely. So, speaking of which, our viewers are able to see the front page as I'm scrolling up and down of the Lost Lands and everything that you guys have put together for it. There's the world index that I'm now scrolling down to show everyone what how to jump to the different regions. Is there
now,
anything?
can
Go
you
ahead.
tell us a little bit about what the Lost Lands are for those who might not be familiar with it?
The Lost Lands is an immense project. It's been in the thinking for a long time and development for quite a bit of time as well. It's basically pulling together over 20 years of material that Necromancer Games and Frog God Games have published, and it's just an amazing project because it takes all of these adventures and locations and NPCs, ties them together in ways that they had never really been intended to do. The Lost Lands is kind of it's backwards from most campaign settings. Usually you start with a campaign setting and then you start putting cities in and you start putting adventure locations, you put the NPCs. Here it went the other way around, where you had the adventures and the NPCs and the places, and then you had to figure out, where in the world do they go? How do they get connected? And how do you do that coherently and basically seamlessly so that everybody says, gosh, that's exactly how I've always envisioned it.
And I am now showing people the map that you're talking about how to connect everything together. And it's just gorgeous. I mean, just looking at this, it's making, the geek in me go, ah! But everyone knows Bard's Tale, right? And so you can see as I
Bard's
mouse over.
Gate.
Bard's Gate, yeah, I apologize. Bard's Gate, yes. But everyone, it's a very famous one. And if I click on it, it's still working in progress on some of it, but you can start getting to all the different levels of the different mods and where they took place and how they connect together. And the map is just gorgeous. Being able to click to the different modules and show them off, it's really awesome. It makes me want to go and say, I wonder what all the modules in this one region are, and just play through them. It's beautiful, absolutely.
And the
Um,
beauty of the map is that you can actually see them.
mhm.
One of the options on the map is to go and pull up all the adventures, and it'll go and show you what adventures are available in that region. And it's kind of fun to zoom all the way out on the map sometimes and just see how it just covers it like a big tapestry or a quilt, where you can't see any land because it's all adventures as far as the eye can see.
To Alice and I both were involved in the Living Greyhawk campaign. We were in the Theocracy of the Pale, but we were lucky enough that we got to travel around and experience some of the other regions at times. And to me, it just evokes that exact same thing: is that it gives you a real sense that what's happening over here and what's happening here might be different, but then you can start to see how there are connections and such. And I'm the kind of guy that I love to have like my big Faerun map or Oerth map up on the wall and just stare at it and look at it and think, I wonder what's going on there or what kind of adventures might be had. And this pulls all that up exactly for me.
Mhm.
And so I feel like I'm the exact target audience that you guys are aimed at.
I totally can relate.
And so, can you tell us a little bit about how people get to interact with specific modules? And I can show people how that's going to work.
Well, each of the modules, we'll be adding modules over time. And so there are 20 years worth of material to add. So it's going to take a little bit of time. And so that's part of what the subscription is needed for. We need to have a way to make sure that we can continue developing and building out all of the Lost Lands, because really the goal is to go and put everything that Necromancer Games and Frog God have ever published into World Anvil and make it available for everybody, so that you can go and have a one-stop shop for everything. And if you're in a region, you can say, oh, well, look, there's these other 5 adventures that are available, and just click through and find the adventure. My goal with putting the adventures in World Anvil is to go and make it so that you could run it directly off of World Anvil if that's what you chose. Everything is available there, all the maps, all of the adventure text, and it's organized so that it flows very quickly and easily. One of the things that you'll see as a consistent item throughout our implementation of the World Anvil is little roll-ups, where it's consistent through every page, where if you go and click on one of the roll-ups, it's going to go in, or roll downs, I guess is what they really are, because when you click on it, it opens up, shows you a lot of information. You can go and read that one section and then move on to the next. Roll that one back up, roll down the next one. So you can have a lot of information on one page rather than having to go and click through an open page and open page and open page and open page, which is one of the challenges with trying to do any sort of thing online with a web page.
Yeah, and in addition to those, and I mean they're fantastic because they give you a lot of information. But if you're looking for that in-depth information on whatever region that you're looking at, that there is a full article on them that will give you things like the demographics of the region, the I think trade goods and such like that are there. Um, who the ruler is, all that kind of wonderful information that to me made like the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer one of my favorite books, is because it
Mhm.
provided really easy to access information, and this just increases that accessibility so far. I think with the adventures written up like they are put on the map, that it's kind of the new game store. Alice and I talk about this. Is it used to be when somebody can't show up or your last game TPKs, something happens, you'd go, okay, well, let's go to the game store and we'll look around on the shelves.
Hmm.
Well, game stores, their shelves are shrinking and shrinking for role-playing games, and something like this gives you that exact same feel that you can start poking around and seeing, some of the beautiful covers and get information on what this might be about. And then all of a sudden, an hour later, people have rolled up their characters and you're playing.
Yep. Like, oh, well, let's find out what this region has or that region has. Speaking of which, I have viewers able to see Eastern Akados right now, for example. And so you'll see that there's a beautiful little map here, and I can manipulate the layers to show the different types of terrain. And that's something else. GMs oftentimes go, well, is it raining? Is it going to be really wet and swampy? Is it going to be high in mountains? And Stephen, you and your team have gone through the effort of making all the layers like the Google Maps, right?
Exactly. And we hope to make, there's definitely more planned, and we just need to figure out now how to get them organized in a better way, like getting them alphabetically sorted. But unfortunately, some of these things, World Anvil is really less than 2 years old, and so it's a very young program, and it's amazing how much is being done on a weekly basis to go and continue building out all of the infrastructure for it. So I'm looking forward to it. I know maps are on the agenda for having some updates this year, and so I'm kind of looking to see what's going to happen with that, and what does an update for a map mean. So it's very, for me, it's very thrilling. I'm a world builder at heart, and being able to go and find things is really helpful.
Yeah, it really is, because Alice and I, we have used, I don't know, a bunch of different programs, some of, from your basic, just notebook to advanced programs to mind mapping, and to ones that are specialized in ways to keep track of things. And like you said, databases are ugly. And in the end, it came down to, they were a database that was made to look a little better, a little more accessible. And here, you no longer see the database that's behind all of that.
He's a wizard behind the curtain, Brandon. Shh. Wizard.
The wizard in front of the database.
Boom. Well, can you tell us a little bit of how the GM interaction will be? I just pulled up the Nightstone Keep module, and I see that there's a big, bold button of, I am a GM, DM, show me everything. So tell me a little bit more about how this kind of stuff is going to work.
Well, there's two audiences in every gaming group. You've got the players and the GMs, and with that in mind, how do we present everything for everybody, because we don't know who is who. And so we're hoping that people will go and self-select, and that if they are a player, they won't go and look at the hidden material. But at the same time, I mean, you can go and buy it, and you can also look at it anytime. And many of us have it on our shelves. The beauty of Frog God Games is that there's just so much, there's almost no way that you can memorize it all. And so one of the ways that I'm trying to go and help people be self-select is to go and offer them an option. They can say, I'm a GM, and then bam, they have access to all of the rest of the adventure. But if they're a player and they don't want to see spoilers, then they can get the introduction and learn a little bit about what the adventure is about, and that's about as far as it goes.
You run into that exact same thing, like you say. We can all go and buy, and Alice and I have both been at tables where, and this was RPGA as well as we saw some of these people in home game. This behavior did not last in the home game, but they're the kind of ones that are like, what monster was that again, as they're going through their bag and pulling the monster manual out and flipping, and you're like, what, really?
And
Right.
You're nodding like, oh my gosh, I've been around those people, Steve.
They're everywhere.
Yes, they are.
And it's okay. I mean, everybody games differently.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody finds
Yep.
some way that they enjoy it. But there's those people that don't want to see the spoilers, and I want to respect that.
Absolutely. Well, it's a beautiful product that you have. And Brandon, do you have any additional questions before we close up?
I am just wondering, what do we know how fast the plan is for content to be added in here?
We are definitely looking at least one adventure a month. So
that's pretty good.
12 adventures a year is what our goal is. And with that, we're trying to see what it's going to take to do at least one of the big books a year.
Wow,
Maybe
that's impressive.
every 6 months. And so By a big book, I mean something along the lines of Bard's Gate, Rapenethuk. I know both of those are high on people's lists of things that they'd love to see, and quite honestly, we'd love to do them.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so we need the support to go and help us to get through that and make that happen. And at the same time, we just need the time to go and actually get it done. So I'm looking forward to a long adventure here, and I'm hoping that people can support us and keep everything going, and you know subscribe.
Speaking of support and subscribe, our viewers can
Absolutely.
now see up on their screen exactly what that entails. For $2, they have a buy-in, I hear.
Two bucks.
$2, that's all you
That's
need.
one coffee. I don't even think that coffee is as cheap as $2 from
I
what I
can't buy
hear.
coffee
Yeah,
for two
two
bucks.
bucks a month. You can't even buy coffee for that these days. And that will get you access to everything on the site, and you get $5 off the web store. That sounds awesome.
5%. 5%. That's different.
Yeah, sorry, 5% off the store PDF purchases. Yes, the web store. And for $5 or $50 a year, they'll get access and they'll get voting rights on which adventure they make you add. Isn't that right?
That's pretty much how it works.
And it's going to be 10% off PDF purchases in the store.
Yep.
So yeah, it's and there's going to be a little bit of digital package additions. They're going to give you some maps, some black and white maps, and a monthly map, and you even get to vote on what art packs they should put out. That's a nice option. And then for $10 a month or $100 a year, they'll get access to the articles again and access to the available adventures. And once again, they'll get to vote and tell you what they want to see. And this time, though, the Frog God Game Store bonuses are much higher. It's 15% off PDF purchases, $5 on print products, and they'll even receive $3 of store credit, up to $36 annually of Frog Bucks. And the digital is going to go beyond a black and white art pack to a color pack to a map. Yep, exactly. And you'll even get a monthly adventure by Tom Wilson. Now, Steve, for the monthly adventure for Tom Wilson, is it going to be unique new adventures that he writes every month?
It is. And he is an absolute wizard. I've seen the first one. It's just phenomenal what he went and put together. And I am really looking forward to it. He's got at least 6 months worth of adventures already planned out in his head. And I can only imagine that this is just going to keep going.
Well, thank you so much for stopping in with us and
Yeah,
talking
thanks so
to
much.
us about this. We are so much more enlightened about your product. I hope that our viewers are too. So thank you very much for your time, Steve, and bye, everyone.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.